I recently made a video talking about how to solo over body and soul. And one of the things that kept creeping up in the chord changes was the 1 to the 4 chord. That's what we're going to focus on today. Be sure to check out that video if you want to learn how to solo on body and soul. Okay, let's get to it. So what is the 4 chord? Now, the 4 chord can manifest itself in many different ways. We're going to go over different variations of 1s and 4s and figure out what it is that we're supposed to be doing. So let's start with the most basic, the one that you're going to find the most, the 1 major 7 to the 4 major 7. Something a little bit unusual happens when we go from the 1 major 7 to the 4 major 7. Keep in mind, this is diatonic. We're still in the key of the 1 major 7. So I'm going to do this in concert B flat, but I'm going to talk about it like it's in the key of C. I think it's usually easier for people to conceptualize this when we talk about things in the key of C. Okay, so if I have a C major 7, when we're in that key, when we're on that chord, the F, the actual 4, that note is what we call an avoid note. It has a certain kind of tension to it that actually dismantles the 1 chord. Now, usually in pop music, you're dealing with triads, and when you have that F on the C major chord, it destroys that chord. It turns it into something else. Whenever that happens, we generally label that note as an avoid note. It turns the C major into a C suspension, and it carries with it a type of undesirable dissonance. But it's only undesirable if we don't know how to treat that dissonance. Everything that you hear in jazz that makes it sound interesting is about learning how to treat dissonances. These dissonances come in a lot of different forms. So a minor second, even a major second, has a certain kind of dissonance to it. Minor thirds, tritones, flat 6, whatever. Flat 7s, seconds, again, like I said, has a certain kind of dissonance, and we want to know what to do with it. So when we are going back and forth from the 1 major 7 to the 4 major 7, we want to still treat that F, that 4, that note, like it carries a certain kind of dissonance, even when it's on the 4 chord. If that 4 is a major 7, the emphasis is on the major 7th and not the root. So even in that progression, it's still a dissonance. So we would play something like this. De-emphasize the root of the 4 chord. And also, remember, the 4 chord is Lydian. So on the F, instead of having a B flat, we have a B natural. Very important. Okay, let's move on. What happens when you have a 1 major 7 and the 4 is minor? Now, in this case, the thing you're going to find the most often is that the 4 is going to be a type of either minor triad, a minor 6, or a minor major 7. One of the songs that reminds me the most of that is the Princess Leia's theme. Now, if you have a 4 minor 7, it's usually setting up for some kind of modulation. But what we want to do is still keep the C, the 1, as the root, as our main tonality. All right, so what scale would you play? What is your minor major 7 scale? This is a Dorian scale with a major 7. So F remember this is concert E flat, would be this. So here's the 1 major 7 to the 4 minor major 7, or 4 Dorian major 7. What happens when the 1 chord is minor and the 4 chord is minor? Now, if we're talking about jazz, we are talking about Dorian. Dorian, Dorian. The 1 chord is going to be Dorian, and the 4 chord is going to be Dorian. So let's go to what happens when you have the 1 major 7 and the 4 is dominant. This is the chord progression. That is the entire reason why I decided to make this video, because this is one of the coolest progressions that there are. When you get to the 4 chord, remember the 4 chord was Lydian, but if it's dominant now, the 4 chord is now Lydian dominant. Sounds like this. Here's the 1 major 7 arpeggio to the 4 Lydian dominant arpeggio. I want to show you a tricky way of thinking about what happens when you are going from the 1 major 7 to the 4 Lydian dominant. There's only one note that's actually different between those two, and it is the 3rd degree of the 1 chord. So in this case, it's going to be the E natural that just turns into an E flat. All the other notes are exactly the same. The 1 chord turns into the minor major 7 chord. So to simplify it, whenever you have the 1 major 7 that goes to the 4 Lydian dominant, special note, very often Lydian dominant, that sharp 11 won't be notated. 99% of the time it's not notated. It is just implied, and you just got to know that that's what it is. 99% of the time, that 1 major 7 going to the 4 dominant, it is Lydian dominant, period. And if it's not that, then it'll be notated as being something else. But usually when stuff is diatonic, it's not like notated. It just creates extra stuff to read. However, like if we have a C major 7 that goes to an F7, Lydian dominant. It's like going from C major 7 or C major 9 or C major 6/9 to C minor 6/9 or C minor major 7. All right, it's beautiful. The 1 minor 7 to the 4 dominant 7 is very reminiscent of Grover Washington Jr. Whenever I hear this, I just think of Mr. Magic. The 1 minor 7 to 4 major 7, and I can't even really think of what that might be right now, but let's play it and hear what that sounds like. When you have the 1 dominant 7 to the 4 dominant 7, this is just, it is the blues, man. I am telling you, it is the blues. Whenever you have that 4 as a dominant 7, it is implying something bluesy anyway. But when you have the 1 dominant 7 to the 4 dominant 7, the 1 is Mixolydian and the 4 is Mixolydian. This is one of the things that makes a blues quite challenging to new people. We generally just stick to the blues scale and we just deal with a lot, and I mean a lot, of unresolved dissonances. But now we know you have to play Mixolydian on the 1 chord, Mixolydian on the 4 chord, and Mixolydian on the 5 chord, because those are the 3 basic chords that you need to make a blues. So let's hear what that sounds like. Okay, we're not working on the blues in this video, but that 1 Mixolydian to the 4 Mixolydian. Okay, so if you like this kind of stuff and you want to support the channel, you can buy me a piece of cake. It's like a Kickstarter, Patreon type of thing. You make a small donation, you buy the cakes, and that helps me out a lot. I also have my Altissimo books for alto and tenor. I have my All Things Diminished book for all instruments, and I have my saxophone sound development book, which is very popular. That's also available for all saxophones. So I do have an affiliate link with Amazon, ladies and gentlemen. The end of September and early October, they're going to be running some nice specials. So make sure you take advantage of that. Also, there's some very cool saxophone related stuff and other stuff that has nothing to do with saxophone, just regular life stuff. So that's all I got for you. Thanks for tuning in. See ya!